Welcome to day 4 of my trip. I chose this site because of the chance of seeing northern lights, the fact that it was out on a point, nice and scenic. Had I known what was going to happen last night, I would have found a much more sheltered place. That wind pretty much kept up all night long. Thankfully it subsided a little bit from when it first hit, but it was pretty gusty all night long, continuing from the north, so it's pretty dang cold this morning. Not freezing cold by any means, but definitely on the chilly side, and that wind's still blowing. I might have to change the position of my tarp because right now it's catching the full effect of that wind. Might have to move it to the lee side at the point here and rig it up differently so that it forms a little bit of a shelter for me. Anyway, Sam and I got up about 7 o'clock this morning, slept in a little bit. We just have been up for a little while and start breakfast pretty soon. Now I did hear a clanking noise last night, noise of some metal. I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I discovered this morning, if you look, my coffee pot has no lid on it. The lid is sitting over here. The wind actually blew that lid off the pot and blew it way over here, probably 8 or 9, 10 feet away. Everything else in the camp seems to have weathered everything okay. The tarp is still standing. My clothes are still on the line, and it just seems like the only thing that happened was the lid blew away. Left the rain tarp over the other side where I had it set up, but I moved my kitchen over to the lee side of the island. So we're out of that wind. Feels a little bit warmer over here. I'm not expecting any rain today anyway. The forecast was for about 20% chance of showers this morning and clearing this afternoon. So I don't think the rain tarp's really going to matter too much, and we're pretty well sheltered here without having to set that up to shelter us. I'm a little bit concerned. I got the water going over here, but the gas isn't running very high this morning. I don't know if it's a temperature thing or whether it's actually running out. I think it's running out, in which case that's happening about a meal earlier than it should. I usually can get 7 meals off of one tank, and this will be meal number 6, and I'm not even sure that it's going to last long enough to boil up my water this morning. Since I only brought 2 full canisters with me, that's a concern. I am starting to think about coming out a day early. I'm not sure. The weather is looking pretty bad. It's sounding pretty bad towards the end of the trip, especially on Wednesday. So I might just, tomorrow night I should be on Sawbill Lake. That's my plan, is to be on Sawbill Lake. I just might go on down to Sawbill Outfitters and see what they'll charge to transport me back to Baker Lake, where I put in. It means that I won't see smoke and burnt lakes, which would be new lakes for me. But if I'm running out of gas, the weather's turning sour, my body's running out of gas too, and if I go through smoke and burnt back to Baker, there's a 280 rod portage. It's supposed to be pretty tough. Now I will have the rest day in between. I'll have a lighter food pack. But the way these last couple of portages have have been, it just might be better off all around to bale. Might even go out, depending on when I get to Sawbill, might even go out Tuesday instead of Wednesday. So, but anyway, it's all, we'll have to see how things go, how the weather goes, how my body goes, how my gas goes, and kind of gauge it from there. But at least I do have that option of bailing a little bit earlier than planned. I had 3 gorgeous days, if a little bit hot. Had lots of pictures and lots of video those days. Today, I think we're going to be pretty much windbound. Well, I don't know, it's not that strong a wind. We might be able to go out paddling, especially later on if it clears up. But I may not get to go and explore Cherokee as much as I wanted to. But we'll wait and see. I mean, the skies are already showing signs of clearing up. It's kind of misty out there, but the sun's weekly trying to shine through some of those clouds. So we'll just have to see. Well, I keep meaning to say we didn't get a lot of rain last night. We got a couple of short, heavy showers, but they lasted only a couple of minutes each. Mostly it was just the wind howling all night, and even that seems to be abating now. But of course it was straight out of the north, so I brought down all that Canadian air. Thank you very much, Canadians, for sending that our way. Could have sent just a little bit. I mean, highs in the 60s would have been nice instead of this plummeting from highs in the 70s to highs in the 50s. But anyway, I guess after 3 days of complaining about the heat, I deserve this. So, I'm just waiting for my water to boil. Then I'll have some breakfast and see what the day brings as to what I do for the rest of the day. Finally had some breakfast. It took forever to boil water. I did change over to the other canister that I had with me, the full one, and it still took a long time, so it's just the temperature, not that it was running out of fuel. Actually I have quite a bit of fuel left in that one bottle, in that one canister. Just about a little bit about I've got a little Coleman Max stove, holds up real nicely, opens up like this. Hopefully you can see that alright. And it mounts on top of these little gas cylinders. They're really good during warm weather. When it starts getting down around 40 degrees or so, they start getting very temperamental. Below freezing, they're almost useless. What I should have done last night, and what I will definitely do tonight, is I'll put this in the tent with me, possibly even one in my sleeping bag, just to keep it warm overnight. That way in the morning it should heat up the water a lot faster. Should come to a boil faster than what it did this morning. Like I said, it took forever, and used a lot of fuel just trying to boil water this morning. I put the stove head in this little fleece bag that I got with a headlamp a number of years ago. So the headlamp is no good anymore, but at least I can still use the fleece holder that it came in. I usually put that in a Ziploc to make sure that it stays dry and clean. And then I just pop it in my coffee pot, put the lid on tight, and that's how I pack that up. In this bag here is my photo gear. Like I said yesterday, it almost weighs as much as my canoe. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it is quite a bit of gear. This is just a pouch with some filters in it. My main go-to camera is a Nikon D300S. It's 12 megapixels. It also has video capability, but it's only 780p instead of the 1080. Usually, the lens I usually use with it is the one that's mounted on it right now. It's a 16 to 85 millimeter lens, so it gives me a good range from wide angle to short telephoto. The other day when we saw the moose, the photos I took, I was actually using the 85 millimeter end of this to take those pictures. Normally for wildlife, I bring along a big gun. This is a 80 to 400 millimeter lens with vibration reduction capability, so I can use it at relatively slow shutter speeds, even when it's fully extended. I should mention that the 16 to 85 millimeter also has vibration reduction. So this is a good part of the weight of my overall kit right here. But when there's wildlife to be photographed, it's worth it. Of course, like I said, the moose the other day I was shooting with the 85 millimeter and haven't really seen anything to use this on yet. Then I also have a Nikon D200 body, very similar to the 300S, older technology. It's 10 megapixel instead of the 12 that the other one has. Mounted on this, I have a 12 to 24 millimeter wide angle zoom. Don't use it all that much, but it's useful for when I want to get a big view of things. And again, even with the D200, I don't use it very often, but it's a good backup body for the 300S if anything ever goes wrong with that. Also, if there's any situations where I want to be set up for shooting wildlife, but also getting landscapes at the same time, I'll have the long telephoto on the 300S, and I'll have a wider angle lens on the 200, just so that I can quickly change between modes without having to change lenses on a particular camera. So that's it for my photography equipment. Of course, that's not what I'm taking most of the video with, obviously, because I'm taking video right now. So I'm going to have to switch over to the 300S and its video in order to show you a little bit about my the video equipment I have. When I first started thinking about doing videos of my trips, I thought about getting a GoPro. But as I started looking into it a little bit more, I soon became convinced that I would find a GoPro to be a little bit too limiting, mostly because of its fixed wide-angle lens. And I knew that, well, like the other day when we saw those moose and I wanted to zoom in on them, I knew I'd want something that had more than just a wide-angle lens, and that you know, I could change focal lengths on and things like that.
So then I started looking into point and shoots, and I found this Olympus TG3 online. It's waterproof to 50 feet. It's also shock proof. Shock proof, you can drop it from 7 feet without it breaking. It's very well designed. All the hatches are double latched. Anyway, and it also has a zoom that is not quite as wide angle as a GoPro would be, but it also goes up to about 105 millimeter telephoto, so it's very good on that end. And the only thing is, it's a little bit heavier than what a GoPro would be. And the other problem was it didn't have all the attachments that you can get with a GoPro to make it wearable. Well, then I found this little gadget online. I don't know if you can see it from there, but basically it's a converter that you can screw it into the tripod mount on the camera, and it's got a little thing on the back here that allows you to use then all the GoPro accessories to go so you can wear it just about the same way that you can a GoPro. So with that little device, all of a sudden I've got a much more flexible video camera than a GoPro would have been, and I can still do things like, for instance, I have this mount here that it's a little harness that I can put over my shoulders and allows me to have the camera sitting on my chest, which is what I shot a lot of the video with yesterday. I also have got this GoPro clamp with a little flexible post on it that allows me to clamp to surfaces like the thwart on my canoe. Another item I have for the camera is a wide-angle lens attachment, which I used briefly yesterday. This I got because it gives me a 120-degree view. The GoPro is 170, so this gets me a little bit closer into the GoPro range than what the camera by itself does. This is just a little wallet that I have for keeping my memory cards in. My method of keeping track of which ones are used and which ones aren't is, as you can see, I have 3 cards in here. The one that's used I put in kind of upside down. I don't know how well you can see that from here, but you know, there's the front of the card. I just flip it over. That's the used one. Unused ones get put in with the right side up is all that's all about. I do have this Pelican case that I got for keeping all the little bits and pieces of the GoPro mounts. I've also got my wide-angle lens in there and my extra memory. For my regular camera and for my batteries, I just have them in this Ziploc bag that is in the top of my camera bag, which you can't see from up here, but the camera bag has a little zipper compartment on top. This is a battery for my Nikons. It works in both of my Nikons. Most of these have a little protector on top. So what I do is any that are unused, I keep the protector on. the ones that aren't used yet are used up, I put them in here without the protector on, so I know instantaneously which ones are used and which ones aren't. Now I also have my batteries for my Olympus in here, and these well, right now I have three different varieties, 4 different batteries, so I can keep track of which ones I've used. Okay, I also bought a couple of these batteries. They're designed specifically to recharge cell phones, give your cell phone a little bit extra life, but they also work well for these camera batteries. What I did the other day when the one battery went dead on me, I plugged it into here. It charged within about 3 or 4 hours or so it took to charge. And then I used that battery all the way through days 2 and 3, and just towards the end of the day yesterday I had to change it. So that's when that first night when I said I essentially have 6 batteries along, I said essentially because I had these things and they seem to work well. So that's a rundown of my camera equipment, and I think now it's time for Sam and I to retreat to the tent. It's a Cherokee Apex XT. I think this one's about 9 years old now. I bought my first one back in 1998 for like $105 or something like that. It was rated as a 3+ season tent, and I actually did use it quite a bit during the winter as well as the other 3 seasons and never had a problem with it. Footprint is about 5 by 7. I have slept 2 people in here before. It is a 2-person tent that actually, as long as you sleep head to toe, you can fit 2 people in here. Of course, no gear with them. So it's very comfortable for a 1-person tent. This one, or that first one, through a sequence of events, I lost 2 of the pole segments somewhere along the Yukon River, and so I went online. I was looking for more tent poles, and I came across this place where I could get the same tent complete with tent poles and everything else as a second or a return for $50. So I ended up not getting tent poles, but getting a whole new tent. I believe that was 2006 that I did that. As you can see, it has a full coverage rain fly. It sheds the wind very well, which was very important yesterday. There it is with one of the doors, or at least one of the outside doors opened up, and you can see the inside screen door. There's one just like it on the other side, so you can get some pretty good ventilation through when you have both doors open, and the screen covering has a 2-way zipper on it, so you can open it at the top or at the bottom, get some good cross ventilation. So it's got good wind characteristics, it's got good rain characteristics. Dinner tonight is going to be sweet and sour pork. It's my second favorite meal that Mountain House makes. Unfortunately, they don't make it in the Pro-Pack size, so I'm having to have a 2-person meal tonight. I hope I can eat it all. Definitely need the energy for tomorrow, so and to keep myself warm tonight. So probably going to end up stuffed, but c'est la vie. Got my
pepper and my hot chocolate. I went and washed my dishes. And now I've got a little fire going. Where'd you go, Sam? Sammy? Oh, there you are. Okay. And he hid from me there. That's probably it for tonight. If it is, then I'll say good night now. And hopefully tomorrow will bring a little bit more sunshine. I'll be able to take some pictures along the way. We'll still have some great fall colors. So looking forward to a good day tomorrow. Good night.